So I bought this Bernina Eyelet embroidery set. I've seen a few different types from Elna, Bernina, but I've seen one from Pfaff, but never really one for the Singer machines. There may be one, I just haven't seen it nor been able to acquire one. Now I knew when I bought this that it wouldn't fit, but it's pretty close. So I thought, aha, what can I do? And I decided to try my 3D printer out to see if I could come up with some sort of arrangement which would allow it to fit. So this was my first attempt to use the Bernina cams, and so I just sort of used tape and wire to hold that in place, and it works quite well. But then I thought, well, why am I doing that? If I'm on the 3D printer anyway, why don't I just make the full set? So I made this first one, which is sort of a larger than this size one. So if you look here, I shall move this out of the way so it makes it a little easier. So if you look here, you've got that one, which is bigger than that one slightly. So that's perfectly acceptable. So I'm printing off, you can see at the moment, and in the corner, I'm printing off hopefully what will become this size. But let me show you what this looks like. So it works. And I'm just going to push that back down, tighten that up. Okay, perfect. So how this works is, you have to punch a hole. Now the nice thing about the Bernina thing is it comes with these eyelet hole makers, and that becomes really important when you get into the bigger size here. So you can see they have all these 6 different sizes. I'm not going to, probably don't need all 6, but a few, like sort of the medium. So I've done, I think, 5 on the 3D printer, but this particular, this one here, that will take any one of those cams. It's just held in place with tape, so it's not my favorite. I prefer definitely secure. So I will print off the sizes I need, and it works fine. But how it works is, you use the punches for larger holes, but for smaller holes, you either use an awl, something like standard awl, just to punch a hole. I'm going to try and do this with one hand here. So you just use a hole, punch a hole like that, and make sure the hole is big enough. So you just move the threads out of the way, and then when you place it under the needle here. Now one thing about these slant shanks is not a lot of room under the needle, so I tend to find I have to pull the needle out anytime I use an embroidery hoop or any type of hoop. A pain, yes. If they just made the stroke higher, would have been better, but they didn't. It doesn't really ruin my enjoyment of the machine much, it's just a pain. So let's switch over. So you can see I've made a little punch there, but what I find is with the very small one you can just use a punch. With the slightly bigger template, you have to snip a few threads just to get it around the hole in there. So I'm going to make this look extremely difficult, even though it's not, just because I only have one hand to try and navigate this all at the moment. So I'll just do one more snip, just to get that around. You don't want to, you literally have to, the idea is to not go too far, because especially with this coarse woven fabric, you could end up making the holes too big, and then you end up with a big mess. So there you go, it's wedged over the hole. Now I'm going to put the needle in. I'm just going to put the camera down one sec. Okay, so I have put the needle in, threaded up, put the wire foot that I invented down, because of course the Bernina one will absolutely not fit on this machine. That's what they've got, and that works really well, but the wire works perfectly fine as well. So why would I bother? Well, I do have the Singer templates for zigzag and straight stitch, and they work fine. They're not the easiest to get the eyelets exactly where you want. Sometimes that doesn't matter, but I thought this would be fun because this means I can get an eyelet exactly where I want. Now, the disadvantage with this setup, and I've just brought up the thread, is that you don't use the feed dogs. So basically I have to spin, oops, I think I've turned this off, one second. Turned off the servo motor on this. So this machine is set to run at this fast speed, so the slowest is what you're seeing here. And then basically you just have to spin gently around, keeping up with the speed of the zigzag, and making sure you don't get stuck on anything, just like I did right there. And then you just go around the other way, because I'm right near the edge, it got stuck on there. But just for the purposes of this, you just spin it around. Okay. Now, keep going. Grab it here. So you could use a larger hoop. Here I've used a smaller hoop and it's stuck again on there. It's because I'm right on the edge of the fabric. It can get stuck a bit. So here we have the plates. There's one on my 411G, and I've been practicing doing that, and I'm going to show you. I've created this foot here, which actually is adjustable up and down, so depending on the height of the fabric, it can be raised and lowered, and that holds it in place. And I've got something very similar over here with, see that, see the foot or the pressure, okay. So what I'm going to do is cut a hole now and stitch around this, and you can see this in action. Okay, so hopefully I've got the width set right. I've got it set at 2.5 at the moment, so let's see if it's enough. Yes, I think we're good. You just spin. You go around a couple times, it's usually best. Just to fill in all the gaps. Make sure it's nice and neat. And you can increase the width of the zigzag as well. Now this is center homing zigzag on this machine only, although you can use the buttonhole to get sort of a left side, but it's actually fine. It's not in the wrong place to do a good job, so I'm okay with that. That's good, we're done. And what you can see there is one very nice eyelet. Now, this is awful fabric, it's very coarsely woven, so you see some of these little green threads sticking up, but they can be trimmed away. But ideally you'd use a less aggressive type fabric, or stabilize it, or use some glue to hold it down, to avoid or you can go around again twice with a larger zigzag, and then that would cover it up. It would be less delicate, but this contraption works really well, and I'm impressed with my skills on the 3D printer. It actually works, and it's easy to just change the size you want as well. Just slides in there and stays. So I'll show you one more. It's best if you use the cutters. There are these cutters which come with the Bernina, which helps avoid some of those threads that I showed you there. However, using a pair of scissors does work. You just cut a hole only just big enough for your final size. Because what you don't want to do is have it grow, like I've had a lot with these attempts, especially with this coarsely woven fabric. The more coarsely woven the fabric, the more problems you have with the hole growing as the stitch zigzags down. Okay, so that is all down and flat. And you'll see there's a lot of fluff sticking up, but that will kind of go away. It's better to trim it, but for this test it doesn't really matter. We'll bring up the bobbin thread now. There's the bobbin thread up. And let's see what we get going on this. Secure those stitches and then spin around we go. Something just fell over there, don't know what. 3D printer's vibrating the Okay, done. So, here's hole number 2. You see it's a perfect result. I'm, thrilled that I figured this out. So, hope you found that interesting. And of course, if you have a little mini Kenny, you might persuade me to send you the 3D files at some point. Very good. Alrighty. Anyway, bye for now.